Our greatest glory is not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. Let's face it, we all fall down, but it's in how we dust ourselves off that really matters. Hello everyone, we are so happy to be back for season 2 of Women Talk. How time flies.
I know, it's been a while, a couple of months since the last time we sat here.
I feel like I've not seen you in that long.
It has been a while.
Yeah. I'm Deborah, for those who don't know me.
And my name is Zoraya.
Yeah, and we're so happy to be back. We've got fantastic 13 episodes lined up for all of you, great conversations and topics. We can't wait to share everything with you guys.
Yes, and before we get into today's topic, we'd just like to watch a short little clip of one of our journalists going and visiting one of the guests who we're going to be speaking to today.
Finding a new focus in life after dealing with the tragic death of a loved one can be daunting. However, rising above the adversities of fate and using it to shape positive character development is what defines empowerment. Exploring the theme of this episode, we met up with 54-year-old Izayati Mustaffa to discover her personal journey and transition from widowhood to independence.
When I lost my husband, the first book that I read was by Yasmin Mogahed, Reclaim Your Heart. It's about how you detach yourself from either a person, from material things. And to me, it's good because when you start detaching, you don't have expectations. So that is when you know that you are on your own. So this battle is just between you and your own challenge. I do read a lot of books and I practice what I read. So that has made me who I am today. Women is someone who must know their self-worth so that they have to see the value that they have in themselves. When it comes to challenges, to me, I have to fight my own battle. So I don't have any specific person that has helped me with the challenges. So the one that actually helped me go through the challenges is myself by having the right mindset.
I mean, it is incredible stories like this one, and I'm always so mesmerized at the fact of women who go through so much, and they're always so determined to rise. I mean, they often say there's no strength as great as a woman determined to rise after something very tragic or difficult in her life.
Definitely. And that is exactly what we're going to be speaking about in today's theme for today's episode, which is rising from the fall. So let's introduce our guests who are going to be sharing in on this topic.
Well, we have Izayati Mustaffa with us today. You have a long list of accolades and achievements, so I'm going to have to read them out. $1 million round table achiever, insurance agent. You formerly owned a cafe and a self-published author. But I think in just listening to that short few-minute interview with yourself, I think a very, very wise woman beyond her years. And I can't wait to speak more with you.
Yeah, and I would also like to introduce Nirmala Supramaniam. Thank you so much for being with us today. So you are from the Credit Counseling and Debt Management Agency, AKPK, an agency set up by Bank Negara in April 2006 to help individuals take control of their financial situations and be a bit more credit savvy, which I think a lot of people need some advice about. So thank you both very much for being with us today. And yeah, we look forward to getting into this topic of rising from the fall. And I think over the last couple of years, a lot of people have definitely gone through a bit of a fall and are now rising from the ashes.
Trying to figure out how to do it, right? But Izayati, your story, I mean, it does start off in quite a sad place, you know, if you don't mind me bringing that up today.
Yeah, no worries.
And that was the incident or the trigger that put you on this path, on this journey. Would you mind sharing?
Can you tell us a bit about that?
Oh, okay. Yeah. It happened in 2014, 6th of December. We went for a holiday as a family. I just got a phone call from my husband's driver and said that he just passed away.
Oh my gosh.
During my holiday. So at that time, basically, I was just like a zombie. because it all happened in a short time. But as I say, things happen for a reason.
Yes, always.
Things happen for a reason.
Grief is such a delicate thing to experience.
You can grieve, that's allowable to grieve. But at the same time, you must know your why.
Yeah.
Because you can't be grieving all the time. So you have to move on. But for you to move on, you must know your why.
So that's what your advice would be if people going through grief or going through something very troublesome, is know your why or have a reason to move forward?
You have to. Or not, you do not know how to actually move on. You do not know how to actually grieve the right way.
Well, you mentioned something earlier about expectations, and you said you had to really change, well, not have expectations, because sometimes having too many expectations leads to disappointment.
Don't you agree with that?
I do.
Oh, definitely, certainly.
So a huge mind shift for you. I mean, rewiring everything. I mean, not only, when we're going to later about the financial stress, the burdens, but how you to even approach situations.
Okay. When I lost my husband, I met him when I was 16. So we were together for 30 years. He's my one and only, actually. So when he passed away, I had 3 kids at the age of 14, 17 and 20. They were at the age where they need guidance.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah? The rebellious age.
Yes.
So I have to actually decide whether I want to be a mother figure, a father figure, or a provider. So if I were to just follow to be a mother figure, it will be very difficult for me to actually juggle everything at one time. And to be a father figure, I've never gone through that experience, so I can never be a father figure. So what I've decided to be is I am a provider for them. So once I decide to be a provider, I have to know what's the right step to make sure that their life will be better off.
Nirmala, I want to ask, I mean, in your line of work, I'm sure you have many people coming up to you that you've also gone through very difficult financial difficulties or troublesome moments in the last couple of years. So what is the most common thing that people have fallen for in the last couple of years?
Of course, the last couple of years, I would say it's a shock, right? It's truly great. I've been in many shows, but I always love doing shows about women because, you know, like Puan Izayati mentioned, we are one of those who can actually bounce back faster. And we always do because
we're very resilient.
We need to provide. So like your question, yes, over the past year, the 2 years, this is a shock. I mean, the first time was a shock, and then we got adjusted to it, and you know, and we learned to live with it, and that's human. But what I would say is definitely in terms of income, definitely in terms of income, it was a shock. Many of them lost their job, or even a reduction in income. We saw that, and the burden on the women actually felt more because now we are at home. We have to work from home. We have to look after the kids at home. We have to manage everything at home. So it's like, it was, I would say even for myself, I have 3 kids also. So it was like a total, I couldn't wait for them to go back to school. Honestly, I just couldn't wait for them to go back to school.
I've heard so many mothers say this.
It's like you have to manage your work, you have to manage your housework and everything. And in terms of those who were affected by income, we did see many of them who actually lost their job, who had income reduction and did not know. And there was something else that grew during this time was also scams. People got cheated money.
Talk about
scams, my goodness.
And it was a very challenging time, I would say. So it's a lot about that, you know, how fast the times, like Puan Izayati mentioned, it comes, right? We can grieve, but for how long? Because as a provider, as you know, we are women, you know, and we are like, the first thing comes to our mind is our family, our kids, our family. Certainly. You know, what are we going to do? You know, so you got to bounce back as fast as we can.
Yeah, the responsibilities definitely, they don't disappear just because of the grief or tough time. You know, we're going to take a quick break now. When we come back, we're going to be talking more about financial burdens, financial stress, and how to put yourself in a situation where you're not victim of such financial woes. We'll see you after this.
Welcome welcome back to the program. You are watching Women Talk, and today we are speaking a little bit about rising from the fall. And we have two fantastic guests with us, Izayati Mustaffa and Nirmala Supramaniam. Now, I wanted to ask you a little bit about this debt management program that AKPK has going on and how people have responded and how it's helped people.
Basically, what we do is we have this financial advisory first.
Okay.
So you come in for financial advisory. It could be whether you are in financial problems or whether you feel that, you know, something might come up, or you feel like just getting an advice first. Yes, you can come for advisory. So over advisory, what we would do is the advisors will look through your budget, look through your expenditures, look through overall on all your debts. You've got to be very honest with them. Don't worry, they're not going to judge you, you know, so that they can help you better, you know, so that they will look, and then they would propose a plan to you to say, okay, if this would work for you, if this repayment. So what we do is actually, we try to look at it holistic. We like to look at all your debts, so don't hide. So if not, it's going to be tough. So we see with your current income and expenditure and how much can you pay, you know. We'll be very realistic about that. You've got to allocate for your monthly expenditures and everything. So then we see how much you can pay. And then we would negotiate with the financiers who have provided to you and try to get a restructured repayment plan which is affordable to you, but we've also got to get it acceptable by the financier. So we be the mediator. So once you have got in and they both agreed, we've got that win-win situation between both, and then we put you in this debt management program.
When you first launched this program, did you have a lot of responders? Did a lot of people come?
It's over the period, I would say, because initially the banks would tell them, look, if you can't pay with us, then look, there's this organization that you can go.
Okay.
And of course, we do a lot of awareness out there. Don't be alone, because you're not alone in debts. Okay, everybody faces financial issues at one point of their time.
Izayati is an example, living proof of solutions. When your husband did pass away, were you in a better place financially? Were finances a big deal at that point?
I
was there some cushion?
I wasn't working at that time. So when he passed away, I had to do 5 jobs just to maintain the family. Because at that age, my eldest, he has to do his degree. My daughter just finished her SPM. She has to go to college. The youngest is 14 years old, and you know, you need money. So
you were like, this is where you're spending money on education.
And the property was all under my name. I still had to pay for the house, the car and everything. So it's like, now I have to really find out what I'm going to do. So for me, you need to get the right person to advise you.
How did you have the strength, though, to even think about, okay, how to move forward? I mean, after losing someone, you're in such a low place.
In life, we have choices. You have to make choices. So once you make the choice, you must be willing to change. If you don't change, you go back to where you were before. But when you want to change, there'll be a lot of risk there. But you must have that calculated risk. You can't just jump into something and hoping it will work.
So how long did it take you to kind of start moving in that direction of realizing, okay, I need to plan, I need to find my purpose?
Why did I want to be an insurance agent? Okay. Before this, I had no financial planning. The family doesn't have any financial planning at all. So on 1st of December 2014, my husband took the first insurance policy. 1st December 2014. He passed away on 6th of December, but the policy got approved on 7th of December. We were just 1 day too late for the policy to actually get approved. So I've decided that I need to go out there, learn what is financial planning all about, so that I can actually share with other people what is financial planning. Because even if you're an accountant, even if you are a lawyer, you are never taught about financial planning.
No, it's not, and it should be something that is taught to everybody.
It should be taught. Because when I ask people what is financial planning, they will say, my income, my budget, this is what I have to...
What I keep under my bed.
Basically not that.
Well, we always learn about, like, you learn about math in school, but it's never really about money. And how to make money, how to make money work for you. Right?
So there are steps actually in financial planning. So you must seek the right advice from the right person to actually do that.
Well, this is the right person that we should be seeking advice from, right? We'll speak a little bit more about rising from the fall when we come back from the break.
Welcome back to Women Talk. And just during the commercial, we were talking about people who fear trying because of failure. And you were mentioning, Izayati, about judgment. There's so much judgment around us that you get stuck. Either you're not honest with yourself and others because you don't want to be judged.
Yeah.
And you also you have a massive fear of trying.
You know, if you're in debt or if you're in a financially difficult situation, it's like shameful.
Yeah.
You feel ashamed to admit to it, but actually, that's the first step, right? You were saying earlier, is
in anything in life.
To it.
but Izayati, what would you say to men and women out there who fear even trying, who fear opening that can, the lid, for fear of what's inside?
You must get to the root of the problem. What is that you are fear of? So you can't just put a band-aid on it and hoping that it will solve its own. So you have to get to the root of the source. What is that you are fear of? And you try to overcome it. To me, my fear was I could not provide my kids financially. So how do I overcome it is, I've got to seek advice from the right person. I've got to read a lot of books and to practice what I read. Okay? And to actually look up to those who has overcome this problem.
I mean, you've written an entire book called Journey to Euphoria. And in the first page, there's a beautiful little quote. It's incredible how what was meant to tear you down ended up building you even further.
Yes.
And I think that's absolutely such a fantastic kind of summary of your entire story of coming up from this very traumatic situation. But Nirmala, I wanted to ask you a little bit about some of the stats from AKPK of the demographics of people that have come. I noticed that one of the highest demographics was people between the ages of 30 and 40 that came seeking for financial advice. Why was that? Did you notice?
I guess it's the age where we started, our commitments grew.
Okay.
You know, we are starting family, children are growing. And we've got another issue of our parents, they're also getting older. So we take care, we call this the sandwich generation, you know. This is the time where the real expenses are. And it's also because when we started off, it was all about YOLO, FOMO, you know, you only live once, fear of missing out and all those things. So you wanted to enjoy before you settle down. And so that planning didn't take place when you first landed your first job, when you first land on your first job. You see, you don't think about financial planning then. You only think that, okay, I'll think about it when I start a family, but it's a bit too late. So that's why we actually want to advocate more on financial education, like what you have mentioned. You know, you have to educate yourself. You have to engage with the right people, and you've got to empower yourself with all this knowledge. And so we are a lot on financial education as well. So that's the other part of our services where we are trying to prevent. We're trying to prevent people from coming in with problems. Here, the culture would be more of like, if I'm seeking a financial planner, means I've got a lot of money. It's not like I'm starting off or anything. They fail to see that. And taking up protections, like insurance, is more of like, oh, I'm taking up because I'm doing a favor for a friend or I'm doing a favor for a family. And it's not just about what I actually need. Like, I totally agree. Financial planning is way beyond just your cash flow. It's about your protection, your wealth, even your estate planning totally involves what happens after, you see. So it's that whole thing. But we do see women lacking at a few places, where, especially when it comes to protection, investment.
What about women who are not income earners, and they're then in a way reliant more on your husband's, you're the breadwinner, you don't have that access to the funds, and then you're going to your hubby and saying, you know, like, hi sayang, hey, have you thought about this or this? And then the guy looks at you like that. So any advice?
Well, that's like, because obviously it happens. But you know, with that little money that you receive in terms of managing your house, you could actually start up with, you know, voluntary savings with KWSP. You can actually start up small. You know, now they have the PERKA and, you know, the Tentang insurance that they could actually start up with. It's very important. And it's very important to have that family talk, because I have personally seen when, you know, when the breadwinner passes off or dies, or even they get separated, the woman is left behind with the family and not knowing what to do. They don't even know what loans the late husband had, or the late partner had, or even the ones who got separated. They are left with a huge sum of debts and without protection at times. So that's why I would say it's very important to actually empower yourself, empower yourself. Attend courses. There are a lot of free courses for women. Even we provide free courses in our online learning. So, or even can attend, some of our public programs. We have a lot of financial education network pages. The information comes in as you scroll on a daily basis because you need those nudges, you need those reminders to tell you about things, especially scams. This is something I have to tell also because we had a lot of women who got cheated or got involved with scams, especially these love scams.
Precisely. And I mean, you do have to kind of navigate your way around the internet or around social media nowadays because there is a lot of that going on. And I've heard so many stories of these kind of scams happening. But get yourself educated, read, learn, go and learn more from Nirmala or Izayati and get the book, learn about her entire life story and how she rose from the ashes.
And thank you guys for joining us for our first episode back, season 2. We can't wait to see you next Saturday. Till then, take care.